Hey everyone, welcome to Show and Tell. This is the channel where I show and tell some of my favorite finds as a reseller, as a dad, tech worker, and just an everyday consumer. It can be tools, gadgets, tech, anything else that makes life a little bit easier and better. That's what you'll find here. So in front of me, I have a number of drivers from left to right, most powerful to least powerful. And I don't use half of these half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of these half as well as they deserve. So of these five, I use some incredibly often and I use others very rarely. And I thought this video might be helpful for somebody out there that feels like they maybe don't have all of the drivers out there, and they see, I see all these videos with people who have 10 times more than this. And I don't know if you personally need all of these, but this video might help you decide if you need all of these. So let's begin with the tool I use least, and that is the Ryobi 1 HP Brushless half-inch impact wrench. This is model P262. It retails for about $150 new at Home Depot. You could find it on sale cheaper than that. 600 foot-pounds of fastening torque, and then 800 foot-pounds of breakaway torque with 2,900 RPM. This is incredibly powerful. I find it just too powerful for the everyday consumer like myself. I do work on cars a bit. I don't buy old cars and fix them up. I don't replace full engines or anything like that. I'll replace my tires, change my oil, change my brake pads, and fix any little minor issues that are happening with my car. Of all of what I just said I do with my car, I have only ever needed this tool one time. And that was because I had a seized bolt, and this tool couldn't even break it off. I had to whip out my breaker bar to break that bolt off, and it was so seized that it took every ounce of strength I had in me to pry it just a little bit loose. So what is this used for? It's used for the use for this is for the mechanic, probably an entry level or prosumer mechanic that like really is heavy duty working on cars and vehicles with maybe lug nuts that are maybe a bit more seized than what than well-maintained vehicles. It's big, it's bulky, it's cumbersome to use. I don't like to go underneath my car with this because it's heavy. It's heavy for me to like pick this up and try to wield it and get into a tight space. Even with an extension like and being able to reach up somewhere tight, that's great, but I'm just not reaching for this very often. It's for me and for what I do, it's too much power. I do like that there's adjustable settings here. I can change the torque so I don't theoretically over torque something and strip the screw or the bolt or whatever. But I'm not reaching for this. It's too big, it's too powerful for what I need. So that's why it's my number 5th spot. I use this very rarely. I suppose I'm glad I have it. Looking back, I would not buy this again knowing how little I use it. I would spend my money elsewhere on something else. So the number 4 least used tool that I have is my generic Amazon precision screwdriver. This brand is it's called Mikesier, but I've seen it made by 20 other companies. It's a 3.7 volt rechargeable USB-C precision screwdriver. There's forward, back, and then there's mode change button here. And it allows you to set the torque. 1 is least powerful, 5 is most powerful. Why I don't grab this very often is because, honestly, I can solve most of my driving needs with a Phillips number 1 or number 2. This is helpful to have, It's helpful for any type of electronic repair or reselling on my part. I will pull this out if there are lots and lots of mini super tiny screws, especially torque screws. It comes with a number of specialty bits in it. That's a plus. It's magnetic in here too, so the bit stays, and you can use it like a pen. That's the best part about this. Is there are certain situations where you don't want to hold it like this. You want to hold it like this, and nothing else up here can do that for me, at least not comfortably. This pen position is excellent for doing really precise screwing, especially where it matters, where you don't want to damage something like a circuit board. However, most of the hardware I'm working with as a reseller actually can be removed with a Phillips number 1, even a number 2. And so I am glad I have this. I don't use it as much as I thought I would. I probably could have saved the money and just kept my little precision manual powered screwdriver that, does the same thing, just not quite as fast. So, would I get this again? No. Am I glad I have it? Sometimes, but I wouldn't lose sleep, and I probably wouldn't replace this, at least not unless I had an urgent need if this broke. Like unless all of a sudden I just had a project with a million tiny screws. If I can't do it with another one of these tools, I probably wouldn't replace it. And I have a manual option for this too. So would I have it? I don't know. I probably would not buy it again, but I'm keeping it around. I'm not trying to sell it or get rid of it. So, okay. Number 3, the third least grab tool, or the third most grab tool in my arsenal, is my DeWalt 20 volt max brushless. And this category is for all full-sized 18 or 20 volt multi-tool, 18 to 20 volt drills or drivers. I started with this. I'm very grateful I started with this. I'm grateful I started with a brushless option. It's powerful. It's lasted for years. I love the size of this. When I bought this was tiny. And this was years ago at this point. This was tiny. And I was so impressed by the size of this that I use this for everything. It's excellent. It's lasted for years. It's a good size. But as you can guess, I have other tools up here that are smaller that I use more. And it now feels big, and it now feels heavy in my hand. I've been spoiled by smaller options. I keep this in my garage as anything I need to do and grab for a quick project out in the garage. I'll use this. I have my charging station out there. I'll grab it for car stuff now. I don't grab this. I grab this for car stuff. I'll put a bolt adapter on there, or socket adapter on there. This can handle everything I've needed it to handle. It's way easier to maneuver than this. I use an impact driver way more than I use a drill. I do have the drill counterpart to this. It's fine. I just don't grab it very often. One of the things I picked up with this very early on was just a kit of bits that has the hex bit drill, 1/4-inch drill bits on it. This allows me to not have to ever grab my drill. And I like having this kit. I just keep this with this. It stays right next to it. This solves every single problem I have out there except for sockets, and I have the socket kit with it, but I have one of my 3/8 adapters here, and I have a 1/2-inch adapter out in my car, near my car too, if I need it. But this is great. It's a great pairing with this. This solves a lot of problems. I like having this available. I've built sheds with this. I've fixed fences with this. I've done even little electronics with this and removed bolts and built furniture with it. But it's overkill for most everything I need indoors. unless I'm drilling a hole into a stud. I mean, I have other options, and that's why this has become less used over the years, is because I have other options that work better for what I need. All right, the number 2 most used tool in my arsenal goes to the Milwaukee, the M12. There are so many versions of this out here. This is the M12 FUEL 345320. It came in the kit with the M12 hammer drill. This is excellent. I love this. I love this. I love the mode settings on here. It allows me to treat this this one has no mode settings, the DeWalt. This one does, and that makes it better for using anywhere where I just don't want to strip the threads. I love the 2 amp hour batteries because it makes it so compact. I mean, this is a tiny, tiny tool. It doesn't look much tinier than DeWalt, but it is, and it feels tinier. It feels good in the hand. It's light. If I was to start over today, I probably wouldn't even start with the 20 volt max. I would start with, or I wouldn't even start with, I would not go full size Milwaukee for me as a reseller, as a dad, as a homeowner, but not as a professional carpenter. I don't need it. This can do everything this can do. I have never found a use case where this doesn't have enough power to do it, and this DeWalt could. This just has enough for what I need. Even working on cars, I have worked on cars with this. Its breakaway strength is shockingly strong. It has a lot of torque for what it is. It's powerful. In my specs chart, I have it at 3,300 RPM, and I have my DeWalt at that's the low end 3,300 RPM. Or sorry, high end 3,300 RPM. My DeWalt's 3,250 RPM. So, they're pretty similar. The breakaway torque I have for the DeWalt is 1,825 inch-pounds of torque. For the Milwaukee, it's 1,500 inch-pounds of torque. But in the real world, I see these as just as powerful as each other. They have been just as powerful. And I will grab this over that anytime. I keep this in my everyday toolbox along with a few other M12 tools. I'll make a video about that sometime soon, about what my toolbox is that I keep around for all my projects. But I'm reaching for this over this or this anytime that this is handy. Sometimes I don't have my toolbox in my garage. I have it either, if I'm working on something inside my house, or if I'm taking it to a friend's house to work on a project, then I'll grab the DeWalt. But I'm grabbing this if I need anything with some power. This is what I'm grabbing. And that takes me to the number 1 most used driver in my arsenal. This little Craftsman cordless screwdriver. This is model CMC F604. I bought this years ago. I don't know what magic this is. It fits in my hand like a normal screwdriver. I love that. It is for all purposes, this is a normal screwdriver that has the option to quickly unscrew or screw. For my needs every day, if I am hanging a picture, if I am taking apart any hardware like luggage to resell parts, if I am working on a computer, if I am changing batteries out of a kid's toy, if I am just tightening a screw, I am grabbing this. It is significantly lighter than all 3 of these, even the Milwaukee. I mean, this feels just like a normal screwdriver. It is so maneuverable, and just pairing it with an extended Phillips number 2, I can do so much with this. I mean, this is compact. This is a great option for getting into tinier or tight spaces. And the best part about this is you can use this as a manual breakaway driver. You don't need to use the buttons. It's not powerful. It's 4 volt, but this thing is no more powerful than this little precision driver here. But there's so many use cases where I don't actually want something powerful. I just want something to quickly unscrew or rescrew in my bolt. That's what this is for. And that's like for a lot of normal people, like non-trade professionals. That's what we need. We need something that's just quick and easy. This does not have any torque settings because it's not that powerful, and I don't actually mind for this. For other situations, I do like having torque settings. For this, I like that there's no setting. It's just forward, back. If it's something really fragile, like an electronic screw, I use this. I mean, I can use it like this. It's not incredibly comfortable, but I will do it because it's just always out. I just keep this out. It's just out on my desk. I'll move it into my bedroom. I'll move it into the kids' room if I need to work on something in there. I'll bring this with me. I'll keep this in my fanny pack too when I'm out, finding stuff to flip. And if I need parts to remove, I'll just keep this in there. I should probably buy a second one because I would benefit from having 2 around. But this significantly increases the speed of any driving tasks you have. It's able to get into tight spaces, and it's small and light. My only complaint about it, there's 2. Micro USB. I have only 1 cable out now for just this device to try to charge with micro USB. I don't know why they don't make a USB-C. That would be so nice because then I could just get rid of that 1 cable. My other complaint is the buttons aren't incredibly fast to respond. They're responsive, but it takes a second. From when you push down, it's not instant. And when I let go, it's still spinning. And when I push down initially, it takes a second to rev up. The way I use this is I will put it into whatever bolt, and then usually I will either hand crank it a little bit loose if this is just not that strong, and then I immediately hit the button and unscrew and pull it back. Or if I'm tightening, I put it in the bolt, hit the button until I hit a stopping point, and then I hand tighten it. That's all I need. That's all I want for the vast majority of my products. I don't want to crank my bolts or my screws so tight that I can't get rid of it. The other thing I love about this is the locking collar on this, because so many furniture pieces have that like hex bit that just, the hex hole that isn't milled right. And so when you put the hex bit in, it gets stuck. And so when I'm using, even on electronics, like this bit, if the, this is probably like a T9 on this. If I put this in the the bolt just doesn't have a good T9 cutout, this will just easily get stuck and pop out, and then I gotta pry this out with my fingers or with another tool. I hate that, and that's a downside of having no locking collar on a precision on a driver. If you're in the market for an electric screwdriver, I would recommend just get one that at least has a locking collar, because it will save you a world of pain and trouble when your bits get stuck in something and then you have to go find another tool to pry out your bits. Last thing I'll show you on this is a little bonus tip, and this is the icing on the cake for this. I bought a while ago. I bought a set of like these extendable drill bit things. I don't use this hardly ever. I don't find much need for this. It's not very flexible. It's one of those cheap Amazon, you can buy it for like less than $10. I do like it has the locking collar on it. I've used it a few times, mostly just as an extender, not really ever to use it in a weird angle. It's just awkward and pretty. It's not very flexible. It takes a lot of like, I have to really hold down on it to bend it. But what it came with, which I hadn't used for a while, and then all of a sudden I saw it and I was like, oh, this would be really helpful, is this little right angle bit adapter. So this is, again, cheap, no brand. I know they make ones with, that are brand name, but this paired with this can turn this into something comparable to a little electric ratchet, like almost like an M12 ratchet. Now, not nearly as much strength, but I have used this a lot of times. And so how this works is if you push the button, the head will spin. So you have to be able to hold this. So if you can hold this and grip it and hit the button, then it spins up here. It spins in the angled part here. So, getting into hard to reach places is so much easier with this combination. You can even attach an extender onto this piece here in between here to make it even more versatile. But yeah, so holding this down or being able to just kind of wedge it, it does take two hands, and that's a downside of it. But this is like a $40 tool, and for the insane additional functionality you get from this, it is excellent. I have nothing but good things to say about this type of tool for me, and maybe this is helpful for you, and I hope it is helpful for you, because I just so often I hear and see people are getting the biggest, newest, strongest tool. I have found I don't need that. I've found that I really like this and this. Those are my most two used tools. And they are on paper not the strongest tools, not the most powerful tools, but they suffice for me. So let me know in the comments if you have a preference between these 5 tools or these 5 categories of tools. Let me know what you like to use. I'd love to hear. I read the comments. I love interacting with y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.